1976 Formula One season, I would say, is one of the greatest Formula One seasons ever. If you've seen Rush, you know what it was like. Remarkable. And I've decided I'm going to try and see what would happen if the 1976 Formula One season was on the current point system. Of course, back then, the point system was, very minimal. You barely got any points. And, of course, in the end, James Hunt would take the championship. But it's a different story in this form. Like, I've got it up here. It's remarkable how one accident ruined Niki Lauda's championship oh so nearly. But let's get into it. So the first race of the championship was at Brazil at Sao Paulo, Interlagos. Lauda would take the win ahead of Patrick Depailler, Tom Price, Hans Joachim Stuck in fourth, and fifth was Jody Scheckter. 2 Tyrrells in the top 5, and if we look, it was not a good one for James Hunt. He scored no points in the race. In the end, he finished in 11th, which was possibly the worst start you could possibly have when you've got your rival finishing in the win. And then moving on into the second round of the championship, this one was at Kyalami, a track that we should return to, surely. It's such a brilliant track, old form and modern form. It would be Niki Lauda that would take the victory in the second race of the championship, 2 from 2 for Niki, and then it would be second for James Hunt, third for Jochen Mass. 2 McLarens on the podium, not too bad. Hunt just slightly regaining his confidence. Moving on, Clay Regazzoni in the Ferrari, of course Niki Lauda's teammate, he would get the win and the fastest lap as well. Should also mention at Kyalami, Niki would get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, of course, meaning he got 26 points. Regazzoni would get 26 points here. Lauda second, Depailler third, and not a memorable one for James Hunt, again scoring no points at all. But moving on into the fourth round of the championship, it was time for Spain. Now this was of course a street circuit. It was a crazy street circuit as well. And moving on to this one, it would be James Hunt's first victory of the 76 season. Niki Lauda in second, third for Gunnar Nilsson in the Lotus, and not so much more to say about that. It was brilliant stuff. Round 5 was at Belgium. Now, was it? Yeah, this was Spa. So at Spa, it was the victory for Niki Lauda and the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. It was a 1-2 for Ferrari, as Clay Regazzoni would take second, third for Jacques Lafitte. I don't know if I pronounced that right. He would get third in the Ligier, and again, no points scored for James Hunt. In fifth race of the championship, Monaco was up next. Round 6 of the championship, Lauda would take the win and fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and Niki Lauda would take the win. Scheckter second, Patrick Depailler third, and it was not a good one for James Hunt, again scoring no points. He retired from that one, if I remember correctly, from Rush. Moving on to the 7th round of the championship in Sweden. I don't remember this track, but apparently Sweden had a Grand Prix back in the day. Scheckter would take the victory, Depailler second, third for Lauda. James Hunt would score 10 points in this one, so just starting to regain momentum in the championship, and coming up to the halfway point. Once they complete this 8th round, it would be halfway, and we'll look a bit more in depth in the standings. But James Hunt would take the win at France, and Patrick Depailler second, John Watson. Great to see John in third there. Niki Lauda would not have a great race. He would I don't think he retired, or he got 0 points. No, he finished 11th. So that's not great for Niki. That helped James back into the championship fight just slightly. And now looking at halfway point of the championship, and Niki was gone. Niki was absolutely gone. 8 rounds down, 16 round championship. 53 points for Lauda. Second was Patrick Depailler on 86. A 67 point lead. And in third place it would be Jody Scheckter on 85. So battle for second was really on. James Hunt really not kind of anywhere. He would be in fourth, but quite, he would be 8 points off of his closest rival in Jody Scheckter. So James was struggling at this point in the championship, but we digress. Moving on now to the 9th round of the championship, and they head to Silverstone. A brilliant track, and Niki would again take the win and fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Second for Jody Scheckter, and John Watson in third. So once again, John Watson getting a third. James Hunt, no points at his home Grand Prix, which is exactly what he doesn't need at this point in the championship. But of course, now it's time to talk about that near fatal day. Round 10 of the championship, they headed to Germany. They headed to the Nordschleife. And of course, if you're a Formula 1 fan, you should know what happened on this day. Niki Lauda, horrible accident, nearly fatal, but luckily he survived. But in the end, it would be James that would take the victory. Jody Scheckter would finish in second. He would get the fastest lap of the race, so 19 points for Jody. And third for Jochen Mass. But of course, Niki, the accident, he would miss out on 2 races. He would miss out on the Austrian and Dutch Grand Prix, and we will look at the Austrian Grand Prix. The win would go to John Watson, his first win of the season. Jacques Lafitte in second. Third for Gunnar Nilsson, and James Hunt fast lap of the race, and he would finish fourth. Moving on now to the last race that Niki would not be involved in. Of course, what happened to him was awful, but he came back and he fought, and he was only out for about 28 days. I think he was in hospital. Just so remarkable. He's a hero. He is a hero. Absolute legend of motorsport. The greatest sports comeback in history, I believe. But in the 12th Grand Prix at Netherlands, at Zandvoort, it would be James who would take the victory, and Clay Regazzoni second. Third for Mario Andretti. And now it's time for the Italian Grand Prix, and Niki all of a sudden showed up. Niki out of nowhere was taking part in the Grand Prix. He was out of hospital. He wanted to fight. He wanted to win this championship, and he knew what it meant. And the 2 Grand Prix he spent off, he lost a lot of traction in the championship. He was now 28 points ahead of Hunt, who was in second. So the battle was starting to begin. Hunt still, it was a bit of a reach, but Ronnie Peterson, the Super Swede, would take a win and the fast lap of the Grand Prix. His first win of the season, he had a very, very disappointing season, did Ronnie. And then second for Clay Regazzoni and Jacques Lafitte. I've never heard of this Jacques Lafitte guy, but he seems good. He's taken 3 podiums this season. Overall, out of all the 16 rounds, he took 3 podiums. And other than that, he was pretty average. He did take 2 fourths, I believe. But moving on to the 14th round at Montreal, and this would be another win for James Hunt. Niki would finish with 4 points in this one, so he's just starting to lose momentum. He really is. It was 19 points for Patrick Depailler, Mario Andretti in third. So onto the penultimate round, the USA East Grand Prix, and this was an important kind of event, because really did need this. But moving on, it was James that would take the victory and the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Jody Scheckter second. Niki would take his first podium back since that ill-fated day. Mass fourth, Hans Joachim Stuck in fifth. So coming into the final round, it was on 210 points for Lauda, 192 for Hunt, 18 points in it in the final round. It was going to be a difficult task, but of course, if you know anything about this season, if you've seen Rush, you know what happened. Niki pulls out. He thought the risk was too high. Some people think it was cowardly. I think it was bravery even. He knew the risk. He had learned the lesson, and he decided, I'm not going to risk it. And you know what? It pays off. It pays off. Mario Andretti would take the win. Depailler second, Hunt third, Jones fourth, Regazzoni in fifth. And the most important thing, it was that third, 15 points for James Hunt. And of course he needed 18, so you know what that meant. Niki Lauda would be crowned the champion. Once again, this would be his second championship in Formula 1 racing. And I think it would have been just such a crazy thing back in the day to watch this live. This drama, it was crazy. Jody Scheckter would finish third in the titles. How far would he finish off the pace? He would be quite far off the two. Depailler fourth, Regazzoni fifth, Mass sixth, Watson seventh, Andretti eighth, Laffite ninth, and 10th for Tom Price. At the end of the day, Niki would take the title even though he had that big crash, even though he pulled out of the last Grand Prix. If we had the modern day point system, Niki would take the title by 3 points. 3 points is just so good. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.